Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Wendy again from Chayatsuji Kimono. For today I'm going to do quite an unusual kind of Kitsuke. This is not anything that you would wear on a regular basis, anything that you would wear to a formal occasion. This is purely casual, purely experimental. I guess you could use it for dressing up for like a festival or a fantasy fair or whatever. Anything but formal, please. This is kind of inspired by the martial arts Kitsuke, where they take one sleeve off to expose their under kimono, their juban. Now, for the sake of not exposing, I've come up with a way to actually incorporate a second kimono, so you won't have to be kind of scared that you'll expose some skin or juban or whatever. I've had quite a bit of trouble figuring out what exactly the meaning of this is. Some say it's kind of a stylish thing back in the day, 1600s, to show the actual juban, men, by the way, men, not women. But other than that, it's mostly martial arts where they do it for freedom purposes, especially with bow and arrow. With sword fighting, they just have a little bit more freedom of movement. So this is purely a men's thing. I do have actually a women's version. I will show you after I've done the men's one. But I do kind of want to put that out there for now, that this is a very experimental thing and it's not something that should be worn at any kind of formal occasion, because like I said, this is not something you'd wear on a regular basis or whatever. So keep it experimental and just for fun. And yeah, so like I said, I'm gonna do the men's version and the women's version. First I'll do the men's version, and after that I'll switch over to the women's version. It's quite easy, but there are a few things that you need to kind of watch out for, make it a little bit easier for yourself. So what I want to address first is that you should have the two kimono, and that they should have kind of a contrast. Like you see, I have like a striped one and just a plain one. It could be any color, but the most visual interesting contrast you get with two different colors. And other than that, the size is important as well, because I have some issues here because the wingspan of the strap on is a little bit wider than the top one. So that's something you might want to think about in front, as well as the length. The one that should go under should be just a little bit shorter than the one that is going on top. So yeah, I'll explain a little bit more in detail when I'm doing the actual tutorial. So for now, you want to just grab two kimono, your regular juban, a couple extra koshihimo, and of course your obi and everything. So just grab the items and I'll catch you guys up. Okay, so as you can see, I've got the first kimono on already. I've got the juban on and everything. Now, okay, so as you can see, I've got the first men's kimono on. So what you want to do now is add the second kimono on top of this one. Just put it on the way that you normally do. So again, left to the right as always, just putting it on the way I normally do. Just going to do it a little bit faster than I would normally, just for the sake of the video. Okay, So that's just both the kimono. I also want to add the obi. So on top of it. Now the men's version is a little bit easier than the women's in terms of pulling out the sleeve, which I will show you in a minute when I'm done. With the obi. I'm just tying it really casually. Moving that to the back. Okay, so basically that's the Kitsuke itself. Now this is where it becomes tricky. What you want to do now is move your hand in between the layers, and you want to pull this part up. What you want to do now is kind of hold this layer in place while you pull the fabric up from the inside, because you want to create some freedom of movement here before you can pull your arm out. And for men's, Kitsuke is a little bit easier than for the women, also because this is quite tight. You may want to pull some extra fabric so that it's nice and comfortable. So that's kind of how I do it, how I pull the one sleeve off. Now this will just hang in the back, so I'll turn out so you can see. So there you can see that this just hangs. So there you go, that's the men's version, and now I'll just change and get the female version as well. Okay, so as you can see, I've just changed up into women's kimono. Now what I've done for this is actually hike the hem up higher than I would normally, just because I don't want to have the under kimono, well, the first kimono actually showing at the hem. So what I hiked it up about this much higher than I would normally. For this, you don't have to worry about how your shoulders looks like or whatever. It's just it won't be visible actually. So I put this on now and stuck this one in again. So I'm gonna put the second kimono on now. Again, making sure that the wingspan of the second kimono is wider than the first one. Just making sure that the collar is nice and even. Then I'm going to just put it on the way I normally would. So for the colors, you want to make sure that at least the outer one is just about this much visible. So if you need a mirror, that's totally fine. Nearly done. And now I have to get my obi eater because I forgot it, so just give me a sec. Right, so I just have a Hanahaba obi eater here. Now I just chose this one because it's just the easiest to tie for me in this video. You could pick any obi you like, really. You could pick a Hanaba obi, you could pick a Nagoya obi, it doesn't really matter. I prefer a Hanaba obi for this tutorial because it's a lot simpler to tie. And faster too. Right, nearly finished. Okay. And this is where it gets a little bit interesting because you're now all neatly wrapped up and you have to pull this part out. And because the obi sits a little bit higher, it may take a little bit more time for you to get all the fabric out. And what I do is just pulling up all I can from inside the owashori. Because it may take some time for you to actually get the sleeve out. There we go. Yeah. Well, that went a little bit easier than I thought it would be. Just making sure that this black side is tucked in nice and neat. So yeah, just make sure that everything sits nice, smooth, if you can at least. there we go. I'll show you the back, just real quick. So as you can see, the sleeve hangs on that side as well. You can see that underneath you have your obi knot, and this just hangs over it. So there we go. That's basically how you do it, like a one sleeve or one shoulder kitsuke. By the way, real quick, just because I do my right doesn't mean you have to. I've seen both versions equally, especially since like in early February it's Setsuban. It's like all dress up and disguises to kind of get rid of evil spirits. Now I've seen one particular disguise that had women do either side. Apparently that was a women's disguise. I wouldn't say it's a costume, but rather the disguises. I don't know what it was about, but I've seen women dressed exactly the same colors. It was obvious that it was the same disguise, but they had the other shoulder exposed. So I guess it doesn't really matter for which sleeve you take off. For me, the right one makes most sense because the colors are crossed that way. It looks a little bit more visually interesting if you leave the left side on for your right, my left, and instead of taking the other one off. So I guess it's kind of personal preference. For me, I prefer the right one instead of the left one. So I'll let you guys know. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments, requests, questions, whatever, put them down below. And I'd love it if you subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit the notification button, the little bell icon on the right. So I'll catch you guys later, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys.